There is a secret that most pro athletes, elite CEOs, and high performers all know. They all have a group of world-class coaches working for them to help them optimize their potential. At SuperAthlete Radio, our goal is to provide you with the caliber of world-class coaches and guests to help you unlock your potential, dominate your industry, and dominate your life. Let's get better today. Welcome to SuperAthlete Radio, where today we have a really special episode with entrepreneur and former fighter Albert Shakhnazarov, who has an absolute incredible story about spending the first 6 years of his life in a refugee camp, to coming up, getting bullied and attacked in Russia, moving to the United States, getting bullied and attacked and standing up for himself and getting in trouble for standing up for himself when he got over here, and then turning all that adversity into a thriving, impactful, growing, really amazing business. I learned a ton from Albert. I know you will as well. Let's check it out. And I'm really excited to bring Albert Shakhnazarov, entrepreneur, on SuperAthlete Radio today. Albert, great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Let's start with your story, which in the 5 minutes that I've known you is really amazing. Could you tell me a little bit about how you grew up before we get into all the amazing business stuff that you're doing now?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, when you asked me to be on this podcast, I said, wow, I can't wait, because I've seen a lot of your content, and this is exactly what the world needs today. So about my story, you know, I was actually born inside the refugee camp in Moscow, Russia, due to the fact that my family had to flee the country due to a civil war that broke down in Azerbaijan. And, you know, my mom was pregnant with me. My older brother was 5 years old. And my dad, you know, in the middle of the night had to wake us up. And we had to basically, at that point, they had to wake up my brother, my mom, and they had to flee the country. They had to hide in the trunks. They had to pay people. They had to hide in the basements. And finally, the military came in and took everybody and brought them to a refugee camp that was located in Russia. We lived in a room that was 350 square foot, 2 twin beds, public bathrooms, public showers. That was my childhood for the first 6 years of my life. A lot of people say, wow, that must be tough for you. That must be very challenging for you. What you don't know, you know. And for me, living in a 350 square foot refugee camp was one of my best memories, because I just had amazing support, love from my parents. I had my older brother there with me. And I saw a lot of kids grow up in the same manner that I did. And not having all the luxuries wasn't a bad thing. It taught me how to survive. It taught me how to be strong. It taught me to appreciate luxuries of hard work that I have put in today and was able to achieve the life that I have today. You know, and I really believe that a lot of people confuse you growing up poor or growing up with not a lot of resources as having a bad life. You could be poor, but as long as you're around the right people, right parenting, and you're constantly gifted with love, it's going to build you to be a very strong person at the end.
I agree 100%. And I would love to, mindset is just a huge part of what you do.
Yes.
And with the amount of team members you have working for you now, it's a huge part for you to be successful training all these guys. How did your mom and dad handle that in terms of leading you and your siblings in the refugee camp in terms of mindset, what you saw from them and maybe other adult figures around you? Was it a positive force? Yeah.
To me, my father is like a Michael Jordan of the refugee camp, right? And why do I say that? My dad would work 16 to 18 hours a day. I saw my dad work with broken hand. I saw my dad work with broken toes. I saw my dad go to work at 4 a.m. when it was, by the way, winters in Russia is not the same winters in Connecticut or, in New York. It is heavy, heavy winters. And I never saw my dad make any excuses. He took responsibility. He constantly knew what it took to take extreme ownership of his life. It wasn't hugs and kisses for us from my dad. His way of showing love was making sure that we never had to go to sleep with empty stomachs. We always had the roof over our head, and we always had clothes. We always had all the necessities. And he knew that's the way he showed love. It wasn't the kisses. It wasn't the hugs. It wasn't the goodnight stories. It was, I took care of you, and any parent, right, in reality of things, has a choice. They could bring you to life, but it doesn't mean they have to take care of you. Right? We see that all the time. How many people end up in foster homes? How many people end up growing up with no parents or bad parenting? And a lot of times, I think what we're looking for is this kumbaya type of thing where we hold hands, we hug, and we have conversation. I didn't grow up with that. I grew up with very tough, disciplined father who knew that number one priority is to take care of the family. And that's my way of showing love.
Yeah, so like one of the core principles that we teach with our clients at SuperAthlete is if you can imagine like two parallel lines going up, with the bottom line being, okay, we want to consistently work to improve our hydration, our blood work, our heart rate variability, the way we train, the way we focus, the way we move. We want to consistently work to move up on those things. While at the same time, this other line is we want to be able to perform at a really high level no matter what the fuck's going on.
That's right.
In the circumstance. And it sounds like your dad was just an amazing example of
Yep.
that.
Yeah, and that was, instilled into me. When I see my dad going to work with literally broken toes, right? I'm like, how is he doing that? Like, to me, my dad was my superhero, right? This guy just cannot be stopped, cannot be broken. And I learned by watching, right? You can learn by hearing things, but the best way for me was to actually see it, witness it, how no matter what the pain looked like, my dad never allowed that pain to define his execution. And that was, to me, that I really grabbed from my dad, and I apply that to my everyday life.
Yeah, it reminds me, you mentioned Tim Grover earlier, that
Yes.
about potentially having him on your podcast. I was in one of his mentoring groups last year, and I think it was in his first book, but it reminds me of, he has a story in there.
Relentless.
Of his dad who, he worked on cadavers.
Yes.
And he took Tim in there when he was like 6. And Tim asked him about the day was going or something like that. And
Yeah.
his dad was like, don't worry about that. Pass me here, take
The
this
blade.
bone saw or
Right.
something.
Yeah. I remember that. It's and when Tim shares that story, he shares it in such a way where it's not emotional based, but you put yourself in that position. You're being 6 years old, and your dad is asking you to pass you the blade or the saw, and you can tell the toughness that it was given to Tim from those experiences. I think experience either builds you or it destroys you. And in that way, for me, growing up in a refugee camp, that experience built me into who I am today.
And then before we go on to later stages of childhood, how do you feel about that are you a parent?
I am. I have 3. I have a 7-year-old, 5-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
And then, congratulations.
Thank you.
I got 2 boys, 14 and 12.
Love it.
How do you feel in terms of that view, like hardcore?
Yeah.
I come from mentors who kind of believe in hardcore parenting, and I apply that in a lot of ways. Do you agree with that?
100%. 100%. My son just 3 weeks ago, got on his scooter and falls, completely opens up his nose and lip wide open, needs stitches. And this is a 5-year-old kid, right? So the first initial reaction is to cry, is to be scared. As soon as he saw me, as soon as he knows that, hey, my dad's there, he got my back, you can see that he knows everything's going to be okay. Because as a father, you got to be able to give that hope and that confidence to your children that I can handle anything. It doesn't fucking matter what comes your way. Your dad's here. And you got to become that person in your life one day. And my son understands that at 5 years old, I don't have these, small conversation with him. I have a very difficult, very tough conversations. He competes in jiu-jitsu. He goes up in weight, 2 different weight classes, right? He gets beat up by these boys that are bigger than him. And it's not fun. It's not fun to get beat up, but it teaches discipline. It teaches them to be able to know that you need to grow to be tough. And I agree with you 100%. In our home, we have a saying, you fall, you get back up, you brush it off. It hurts. You love the pain because pain means that you're getting stronger.
That's so good. And I think that's real confidence to be able to feel like you can handle anything that comes your way.
Oh, yeah.
For those listening who would like that to have that attribute or that trait, how do you feel that's developed?
As a child or as a parent?
Let's start with someone who's an adult.
Okay.
So they can pass it on to their kid.
Yeah, it's actually very hard, right? Because you got to really reprogram yourself. If you grew up all your life, people doing things for you, all your life you really were looking for that magic bullet, magic pill for things to kind of figure itself out, and now you're at 20, 30 years old, now you have to rechange your programming. It's going to be very hard, but it's not impossible. But what you need to start doing is you need to take responsibility. And you got to be able to understand that no one's coming to save you. Trump, Obama, Bernie Sanders, Biden, no one cares and no one knows you. You're going to have to go and you're going to have to take responsibility for your life. And at the end of the day, shit's not going to go your way. The reason why I became so good at winning in life is because I lost a lot. And in the process of losing, I never quit. In the process of getting beat up, I never threw in the towel. I understood that my losses were my lessons. And I applied those lessons to be able to get better at whatever it is that I was doing. Parenting, marriage, business, life, anything. I lost many, many times. But when you lose and you understand why you lose, it gives you an opportunity to become better, become stronger, and become wiser. So for those of you people that never lost in life or are afraid to lose in life, and they're now an adult and they want to become tough, you're going to go and eat some shit. You got to know what pain feels like. And you got to be able to know what it takes to get out of that slump. Because here's the thing. If you're going to go to talk to your kids about it's okay to be in pain, it's okay not to quit, but all you are is a quitter. And all you are is every time shit gets tough and you throw in the towel, you will never teach your kids to do that. Because kids learn by what they see, not what they hear.
Yeah.
So
that's so good. And I think it's empowering. It's empowering because whatever life throws at you, you can handle.
100%. I honestly believe that it doesn't matter who it is. As long as you have a strong enough reason to do whatever it is that you desire to do, you'll be able to figure out. And I every time see my kids, when things get tough, I always ask myself, if my son was looking at me today, what kind of an example would I set for him if I quit? If I said it's too hard? If I said, I'm too tired to do this? I don't want to set a bad example for my son. I don't want to set a bad example for my daughters. I want them to know that it doesn't matter what gender, what religion, what color, if you're born in America or you're not born in America, it's up to you to make it happen.
Mic drop. Okay, so you're at the refugee camp till you're 6 in Moscow.
Yes.
What happens from there?
My dad worked extremely hard. I mean, I'm talking about day in, day out, save enough money to get us out of the refugee camp and finally put us into one-bedroom apartment. And a lot of people are like, that doesn't seem like a big accomplishment. Trust me, it is. It is. It's very hard to get out of this system. It's very hard to be able to not depend on the government, right? I mean, you don't have to pay rent in a refugee camp. You just come in. It's very comfortable. It's very easy to be able to say, now I'm a hamster, now I'm a rat, and I can live here, and I can just get by. That wasn't our mindset. That wasn't my dad's belief in what he wanted to accomplish. So when we moved to, apartment building, right, there was a lot of racism. And the racism came from, facing skinheads. And I'm not sure, the term is familiar in the United States or not, but basically skinheads believe that the only people that should exist are blonde people and blue-eyed people. And basically because I have dark features, my dad has dark features, we were not welcome in Russia. We were not welcome in Moscow. And constantly that hatred would be faced to us. We would be jumped, would be beat up. For me to go to the store and for me to be able to just get, bread and milk from my mother, I would have to ask at least 5 of my friends to come with me. Because if I go by myself, I'm a target. I'm going to get jumped. And my older brother was actually beat up so bad that they buried him in the snow in the middle of the winter. My father's right side was broken into 100 different pieces. Our car was set on fire. Our home was broken into. Constant abuse, constant just, facing that adversity of racism. And people look at me and they say, what do you know about racism? You're freaking white. You don't Like, what are you talking about? Racism comes in many different forms. And in that form, it was just that we were not welcome in that country. My dad saw that, and he started to write letters to the White House. Every month, he would write letters to the White House. He would document everything that we're facing. You know, his face being broken, my brother being buried in the snow, concussion, the graffiti, the car being, broken into. All these different things were documented. And he just kept on sending the letters to the White House. By the grace of God, they responded. They gave us a sponsorship to come to the United States of America. They said, we're going to sponsor you for 1 month and 1 month only. We're going to pay your food, rent, everything you need, all the necessity for just 1 month, and then you're on your own. We had to make a decision within a month to be able to leave Moscow, Russia, and come to the United States of America. Now, to us, right, everybody knows America is the greatest country in the world. Everybody knows that this is where, American dream, this is where the land of immigrants are, where all the immigrants travel to. And we didn't know where we were going. We didn't know if it was Texas. We didn't know if it was New York. We had no idea. And it's kind of like just spinning the wheel on where it's going to land. And it landed in Connecticut. And we're like, Connecticut? I mean, we watch Chuck Norris, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone. We never seen one thing or one movie mention Connecticut. What the hell is Connecticut? So we look at the map and we're like, we can't even find Connecticut. We see, Massachusetts. We see New York. Where's Connecticut? And it's this tiny thing in the middle between those two states. And we start to do our research, find out that Connecticut is known to have a lot of trees. And we said, trees are good. We're going. And we took that chance. We came to John F. Kennedy Airport 3 o'clock in the morning on July 4th, Independence Day. And we sat in the shuttle. It brought us to Connecticut. We came in. And even though that house, if I'm not mistaken, had 3 rooms, 2 bedrooms, living room, we all slept in one bed that night because that's what we were used to. Yeah. That's what we knew. And we just always depended on family. We always depended on unity to stay together. Next morning, when we woke up, my dad literally started walking the whole strip asking for work because he knew I had to support this family. And at the age of 40, he left his culture, friends, family, language, everything behind to restart over in this country. And he found a job, $5 an hour, 80 hours a week. And that's what he was doing, working. My older brother found a job. We started to get by. I went to school, hated high school so much, but sports saved me. Sports saved me because I was I would say an oddball in high school because I didn't relate to the culture. I didn't relate to how people were dressing. Everybody had Nikes, Jordans. Here I am wearing Skechers. Here I am wearing, no brand name clothes. And I faced trolls all my life. I faced bullying all my life. So my way of communicating in high school was, you look at me, you make fun of me. I can't really say much. All I know is how to fight. So I would fight. And I got suspended 13 times. On the 14th time, I get expelled. I get arrested. And mind you, I came to this country for American dream. It became an American nightmare. I get arrested and I get sentenced to juvenile hall. 6 months of juvenile.
This is for assault?
Fighting. And again, it's kind of like taking a lion, right, that's out in the wild and putting him in a confined systems, right, that I wasn't used to. My whole life in Russia, refugee camp, outside of Russia, is all about survival. It's all about fighting. It's all about protecting yourself. It's all about making sure that you stand your ground. In my family, we don't bully and we don't get bullied. Right? And that was always the mindset. So when I came to high school, I was bullied a lot. But I didn't allow that. And I was always standing my ground, not understanding that there's consequences. And when I got out of the juvenile hall, what happened was I said, how do I keep myself busy? Wrestling, soccer. Those were 2 things that I did where I didn't need to have a language, but all I needed to have was ambition. And that ambition carried me throughout the high school, gave me a lot of, really where I earned my respect, scoring goals, being mentioned in different newspapers, winning different titles, and being able to really show the world that it doesn't matter where you come from, you can adapt to any adversity and you can make it to your favor.
And then you kept fighting after high school.
I kept fighting after high school. Not like so. Here's what happened. Because I fought so much in high school, a lot of people came to me and said, you know, you could make money doing this. And my English is all broken. I don't understand it. And they said, yeah, Friday night. I said, okay. I come in and I have to fight guys bigger than me. I had to fight guys that were in a way stronger than me. But I fought all my life, and I'm just not a quitter. So there's actually videos in my story in online that I'm fighting underground. And I'm beating up guys that were captains of a football team, you know. And every time I beat somebody up, I would make $500. And I'm like, $500? That's good money.
No, that's pretty good money.
Right? But then what I noticed that every time I would go home and I wash the blood of my knuckles, I don't feel good about myself. I don't feel good about myself because I almost killed this guy. I almost ended his life. It wasn't professional fighting. It was underground, illegal fighting just to be able to make money. And I was good at it. And because I was good at it, I thought there's nothing wrong with it. But deep inside, when you have that self-reflection, when you become more aware and you start to understand the damage you're creating on doing that, it becomes very, mindset-wise, very damaging. So I decided to leave that stuff away. I decided to be able to say, I need to go and I need to build a life that has an impact, that does not have a damage. And
then in your past life experiences, what do you feel like created that sense of awareness of like, this is not the right move?
My whole life, my family faced nothing but violence. And that's all I knew, violence, right? And for the first time ever, there was a realization for me that violence is not the answer. I actually desired peace so much that I didn't know they existed, right? And when I knew they existed in this country, when I knew that there was not, people just breaking into your home, people setting your car on fire, I didn't see that here. So it gave me hope that there's a better world out there. And I can't continue to be that old person with old belief systems that believes that violence is the answer, living in the greatest country, trying to make an impact and difference. That's not going to work.
And then when did you start to think about going into business?
So what happened was I am 17 years old, graduating high school, and I'm planning to go to college, play sports. And because of my decisions, because of the things that I have done, being arrested and all those things, my immigration status was on hold. And they said, well, you don't have the papers to be able to go to college. You can't qualify for any scholarships. You can't be doing anything. So then you have to go to community college. So I went to community college. I didn't care about going to school to go to school. I care about sports. I care about playing. And I played Division III soccer, did very well there. But then my dad had a heart attack. And the doctor said, he can't continue to work this way. He can't continue to put in 80, 90 hours. This guy needs to calm down. 98% of his arteries are blocked. So he had to have a surgery, he had to have all these things. And I had to make a decision, right? And the decision was, do I go in and start working and drop this college stuff so that way I can support my dad and help him with the bills? Or do I go to school, graduate in 4 or 5 years, get a job, and get paid $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year? And what if my dad doesn't make it in the next 5 years? What if, I go to school and I'm not good at school? I don't like school. So I made a decision to find work. And I started to look everywhere. What kind of work can I do? Mind you, English is broken, cultural, still learning. And it's like, I don't have any degree. I don't have any experience. I know how to fight, but what am I going to do? Go professional fighting? I'm not in that level either. So every direction pointed me to sales. They said, you either going to make a lot of money in sales or you're going to make no money. And then I said, well, what is it dependent upon, right? Well, it depends upon how coachable you are, how ambitious you are, what kind of an attitude do you carry, how hard do you work, and as long as you don't quit. I said, sounds like, I fit perfectly into this job opportunity, right? Because I don't quit, I work very hard, I have a good attitude, and I'm very coachable. So I went in and I started to learn about sales. First 7 years of my life, I worked 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I said, I'm going to get very good at sales. I'm going to be the best one in sales. I became #1 rep in the nation for AT&T. I started to just teach people on how to really go out there and consult people. I built a #1 call center where we were #1 partner for AT&T. And, I was working for the company. It wasn't my business. I took somebody else's business from ground zero and built it up. And then at the age of 25, I decided and I said, okay, I'm going to go for a business on my own. And I'm going to do this for myself. And I went into the business on my own. And that's how it started.
Yeah. Shout out to sales.
Yes.
So I had a similar circumstance when I was 18. I got arrested for selling weed. And, so I had a felony on my record the next 12 years. So it basically came down to, are you working minimum wage or are you going to go into sales?
Wow.
And, so I started door to door and then went into phone sales. And then once I started getting footing there, that's when I was able to have a bit of resources to start actually going into spaces that I wanted to get into, which is athletic performance. I was able to seek out mentors and things like that. So let's go there with this idea of sales as a sport. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sales is 100% a sport. This is the only sport, in my opinion, that you don't need to look at and say, man, I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too inexperienced. Because you move at the pace that you want to be moving. Every single one of us is ranked in sales, right? We all, just now, Francis Ngannou, he fought Tyson Fury, completely destroyed Tyson Fury, in my opinion. And he's like ranked 393 out of all the heavyweights, right? They gave him the rank. I think if we just take everybody has a specific rank in sales. Depending on what kind of a girlfriend you have or what kind of a husband you have or wife you have, you had to sell them, right? And if your wife is 10 out of 10, you did a great job selling her on the fact that she should be with you rather than any other man, right? If your kids are listening to you and they're following, the house rules that you have set, that means you're a great parent. You're great at selling. And now you go into workforce, right? And you think about it. You want that promotion, you got to know how to sell yourself to get that promotion. So everything we do is sales-based. Now, if you're somebody who's very competitive, when you're somebody that wants to make a lot of money and not have any capped, you want to be able to go out there and say, I want to get paid in a proportion of my performance, right? And you have this athlete mindset that you always competed, sales is the way to go, right? But you got to find the product and the service that you actually going to enjoy selling. So, for example, if I don't like technology, right, and I don't use technology, and I go into sell technology, I'm not going to have fun doing it. So, to me, if you're going to get into sales, you have to have fun doing it. You're an athlete. I was an athlete. I can't, it doesn't matter what sport I play, I want to win, right? So, I could be never playing volleyball, but you put me on volleyball game, I'm going to give my best. I'm going to give my best effort. Now, I may not know how to follow the rules. I may not know what the rules are, but I'm still going to play and I'm still going to give my best effort. Most people, what they do is that they confuse actual sales, right, with, how much money am I going to make? Am I going to go out there? Am I going to, get promoted so quick? In sales, it's about learning and mastering the basics. Once you learn and master the basics, right, then you can now understand what do you want to do. Find the company, right, in sales that you're going to be doing it that will teach you the basics. Because if you know the basics, you're not trying to rush to get paid. You're not chasing the commissions, but you're enjoying the game. You're having fun. You're going to be able to say, wow, this is the greatest sport I've ever been part of.
A couple really good things there. So I have my 2 boys coming to stay with me for a couple weeks. And I've had them selling since they were like 5.
I love it.
Just because of my background. And my older son, he calls me on the phone and he spends 20 minutes talking about how he doesn't feel like he's getting the right opportunity with his AAU basketball team. And then he follows that up with, can we not do the door-to-door sales stuff? I have them selling garbage bags. That works, by the way. Garbage bags and light bulbs work pretty good. But he's like, can we not do any of the sales while we're down here so I can focus on basketball? Because that's what I want to do. But like you just said, that you just told me that he just told me that he's unable to sell his coach on getting the ball, getting the right amount of
playing time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So exactly what you're saying there in terms of sales is involved in everything that we do. Daniel Pink wrote a great book, To Sell is Human, where he said like 80% of our interactions it's some kind of sales.
Yes.
Whether that's with a spouse or with kids or with workforce. And then another big thing we focus on with SuperAthlete is dominating your fundamentals. So we call that sleep, nutrition, breath, focus, movement. And then once you get that right, then we can, start talking about peptides and all the other stuff.
That's right.
And then what would you say what are some fundamentals in sales?
Number one, and I think this applies to actual athletes that play professional sports and sales, right? It both correlates so much. That's why I believe sales is a sport, is your mindset, right? Self-conception.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to have fear, but it's not okay to have doubt. A lot of times we're afraid of sales because we're afraid of rejection. We're afraid of how we're going to look. And a lot of times, best athletes, they go under the lights and they crack because they worry too much about the trolls. They worry too much about people in the stands. They worry about being judged. I have so many people that have wanted to do sales, and the reason why they didn't do sales is because they worry too much about what their girlfriend's father is going to think of them. Oh, really? My girlfriend's father is going to say that I don't have a college degree. I'm doing sales. Like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I graduated my high school. I'm the most successful person out of my high school. You go back into my high school and you ask people, would you ever consider this guy making it? Everybody would say no. Now, I have so many people that have a college degree, have all these things, but they're not winning at life. So the self-conception is your ability to see yourself not for who you are right now at this moment, but who you can become. And when you start in sales, you start to question and doubt and self-sabotage yourself. And you start to really say, yeah, this is not for me, and you end up quitting. The truth is, it is for you. You just haven't adapted the identity of a salesperson, of high-value individual that can have a confidence, that can have the discipline, that can have ability to get on a phone and close somebody without ever seeing them face-to-face. Is the same thing in any sport. You have to have strong mindset. You have to see yourself as the person that is able to get the job done. And many people don't have a healthy self-conception. They grew up in a family that constantly were putting them down. They're in the toxic relationships where their girlfriend or boyfriend is putting them down, letting them know that you're not going to amount to anything. You're not going to be able to make it. So you carry this bucket of toxicity and negativity. So when you go into sales and you get hung up 10 times in a row, you're like, yeah, they were right. I'm never going to amount to anything. And then you quit. So the basic fundamental of sales is you have to build a strong self-conception.
And then I want to say, the better you take care of your body, too, the easier psychologically you'll be able to handle that stuff, which I don't think is taught that much at all. So at 25, you start your own business. Is this in telecom?
It's in telecom, yep.
Okay. And then when did you start getting reps underneath you?
So I started the business with four people.
Okay. In
the attic.
Okay.
In the worst part of Connecticut, Park Street. For those of you that are from Connecticut, you know what I'm talking about. And attic had literally days that we had no heat. There's days that will be no AC. Sharing chicken fingers with people while trying to build a business. And 2 out of the 4 are still with me today.
Yeah, good sign. That's
amazing. Good sign. And when we started, our goal was not to just go recruit people to start to work with us. Our goal was to be able to master the fundamentals, the basics, really organize the system and processes, so when we go out there and really bring this final product to the world, we know what we're doing. So it took us about 3 years to really master the fundamentals and create a system that works. I have taken people from Taco Bell, literally drive-through people that have never done sales, they have no idea what telecom is, come to our organization, their first year make $140,000.
God bless. That's amazing. And do you have a filter, or are you bringing anybody in, and then you're just seeing
Big filter.
big
Big filter.
Okay, tell me about
Yeah,
that.
we have about 300 interviews per month
Okay.
that walk in through the doors of Elite.
Okay.
Okay, a lot of people want to be part of what we do.
Okay.
We have this amazing, vibrant culture. We also have a lot of trolls that make fun of our culture. And we don't focus on the trolls. We focus on the impact that we create. So we have a 3-step interview process. Then it's a strategy appointment. And then, you actually start to play with us. But out of 300 people, the 10% make it to the third part. So about 30 people make it to the third part of the interview where they actually sit down with me. And then that third part of the interview, we hire about 20%. So on average, we hire about 6 to 9 people per month. But we have to go through a lot of people. We'll look for people that have purpose. We'll look for people that have the grit, have the ability not to quit when things get hard. You have to be a special individual that want to come in and do sales. Not just because you're seeing on Instagram somebody popping a bottle, not because you're seeing somebody eat $500 steak with, the Salt Bae. Those are good reasons to be interested in sales because you're like, wow, that's fun. They're having good time. But it's the commitment to your life, to your purpose, that's going to really make you great at what you do. And those are the people that we're looking for. They have a good character, they have an amazing attitude, they have a desire to learn and grow, and have that work ethic that we're looking for.
And then, Albert, I met you through Jose and Arnaldo. And,
Yeah.
Ty Lopez, one of our mentors, he talks about that and like what you're saying with the trolls of having, what's his number, like 10% to 25% you want in terms of having haters, trolls, attention. It means that, you're doing something right. In terms of the interview process, what are some specific questions or things that you look at in terms to see if they have that grit?
I asked them, tell me right now, if money wasn't the issue, you could have all the money in the world, what would you be doing? Mm-hmm. And what I'm looking for an impact answer. Mm-hmm. I have people tell me, well, I'll be playing video games. That's not the guy I want. That's not the person I want to come here. I want the guy that says, I want to start a nonprofit organization. I want to make the world a better place. I want to go and help, people better their life in some specific way. If the person only motivated by money, once they make the money and we know they're going to make money with us, then they're done. They become a fat cat who's lazy, who does not make the world a better place. We want people that chasing the next big thing. They're chasing the next big movement. And I'm looking for a person that says, money wasn't the issue. I will create a program for parents to spend more time with their kids, to have effective parenting. Great. That person wants to make the world a better place. I want to be able to, build homes in specific areas. Money is not the question, right? Money is the beginning. It's what you're going to do with the money that matters.
That's really inspiring. And you talk about culture. Could you talk a little bit, maybe we can use the sports analogy here as well. Yeah. Why you feel that you guys have developed a good culture, and then what was your kind of strategic process in putting that together and what that looks like? So
I work for a lot of companies, and I saw how a lot of companies don't care about their people. And a lot of times, like I was a top producer, and I never got a recognition. I never got a paper that said, you did it, congratulations, thank you for your effort and contribution. I never had anybody go out of their way to make me feel special. And growing up in sports, everything is earned, nothing is given. So when we have our guys going out there and literally have no sales experience, and they're on the phone with the B2B client, C-level executive, right, who got money, who got education, who got experience, and these guys never in their life sold anything, and they get on the phone and it's a cold call, and they're making that person on the other line who's a C-level executive agree to terms and condition, 24-month contract. They give them their ID. They give them their credit card. That person just achieved something. Yeah. That person just did an impossible. They made the person buy from them without seeing who they are. And we got trolls saying, oh, look, he doesn't have an expensive suit. That's not what we care about. He just closed a C-level executive. So we celebrate that. We celebrate that with passion and love and support, and we give them all the attention. They go out there, they ring that bell. They go out there, they give their 5-minute speech. They go out there and they share how hard this journey has been. We had a guy who made 6,542 calls to make his first sale.
Wow.
That's a fucking win.
Yeah, that is a fucking win.
And you got a slub sitting on a couch trolling people.
Yeah.
You ain't doing shit with your life.
Yeah.
You know, you'll never see a person that has it going on go troll somebody else. That's a win. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's hard to pick up that phone, make 6,000 calls, to get 6,000 no's and not quit and get that win. So we celebrate our people. We put our people first. We have a monthly recognition every month.
Yeah.
Right? We get our people specific things that they never thought they could have. You know, this year, my company is going to go ahead and give out $50,000 cash bonus to the number one producer of the company. $50,000 can change somebody's life. $50,000 could be a down payment on a home. $50,000 could pay off all your debt. $50,000 could start a new life. We want to make a difference in these people's lives that come in from all these hard laboring jobs that no one ever believed in them. And they come here and you say, you know what, this is a safe zone. This is the company I want to be part of. We don't, you know, most people get it, you know, they're like, how do I get people to come to work? We as leaders in our company, we're like, how do we get people to go back home? Because that's how much they love being within our company, that they stay there till 11, 12 o'clock at night. Because they feel safe, they feel appreciated. So our culture is a proof of that because of the retention. You know, most sales companies, they run through people like nothing. We have a 75% retention.
Wow.
So a lot of people that come in, they stay.
For how long?
For a very long time.
75%.
Like our oldest people is the ones that started with me.
Yeah.
You know, 8 years. But people that when we started, 5 years, 6 years, they've been with the company, and they stay because they believe in the mission. They stay because they believe in exactly why we do what we do, which is making an impact, taking one person that's average and making them elite.
And then let's go there. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Because the name of the program is Axe Elite.
Yep.
What is the roots of taking the average and making them elite? And then what does elite mean to you?
Oh, man. It's my whole life, right? Coming from an immigrant family, coming from living in a refugee camp where you could settle, where you could just get by. And then you made it to the greatest country in the world, United States of America. You could say, man, as long as I can make $40,000 a year, I made it. I made it to the greatest country. I have my food. I have the roof over my head. What else do I need? And I remember, right, my father saying, you don't need all the money in the world, right? We came here. We already have the freedom. We already have what we need. Just come down. You know, you don't need to have it all. And my attitude was different. My attitude was, no, I'm in the greatest country in the world. I have the biggest chance to making it big. What other country gives you an opportunity with no college degree, with no experience, to come and become a multimillionaire, be part of the 1% of income earners? There's no other country out there. So why the fuck would I waste that chance, Dad? This is the moment. Like, I know I got the grit. I know I got the work ethic. You put me in a room with 100 people, 99 of them will quit before me. So I know I'm stronger in the mindset. I know I'm stronger in the work ethic. I have the highest discipline. So why not play big? Why not go after big things? And a lot of times, like, my school counselors told me, hey, don't worry about applying to colleges. You should apply into Walgreens warehouse. They're hiring. And I'm
Insider
like,
information,
right.
Walgreens warehouse.
Yeah. $17 an hour. Woohoo,
Yeah.
right? $35,000 a year. And I'm like, all these people, they counted me out.
Yeah.
All these people already said, like, settle. And that's what happens in today's society. Everybody is settling. Everybody wants to, like, just be average. And I hated average. I didn't want to walk into the restaurant and order appetizer because I can't afford the steak. I hated going to the store and looking at the price tag, saying, man, can I afford these shoes? Can I afford that shirt? I didn't want to drive in a car that kept making noise and had no airbags. I wanted different level of lifestyle. And I knew that you can't have an elite level of lifestyle. You can't have a luxury lifestyle being an average motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I need to raise my game. I need to develop a different type of discipline that's going to be chasing greatness. And that's all I did. I was chasing greatness. And I saw how by me becoming a better version of myself,
Mm-hmm.
I was impacting other people to become better version of themselves. And I said, that's powerful. That's the type of impact I want to create because I lead by example, right? I go in and I make the most out of my life. It's going to inspire other people to make the most out of their life. And what I realized is that most people, they don't have a system, they don't have a vehicle, and they don't have the support to be able to break through the average lifestyle. So what Axe Lead has done, we created this environment, this community where people believe in you, where people give you the resources. People give you everything you need to make it. All you got to do is put in the work. And if you don't want to put in the work, then you already have sold yourself to staying average. And that's not what we're looking for.
And then did you systematically work to improve yourself? What was your process with that? You're like, okay, these are some things I need to work on.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, 100%. So to me, there's this quote that I love, and it says, when you lie to others, you lose them. When you lie to yourself, you lose everything.
Mm-hmm.
So very young age, I was blessed with this level of awareness where I started to talk to myself a lot. Ty Lopez, I believe he has a rule of 33,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a very little bit different rule, and that rule of 25.
Mm-hmm.
So 25% of the time, right, you have to spend time with people that are better than you.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you could learn, so you could grow, so you could develop yourself. 25% of the time you spend with people that are on the same level as you. So that way you can see, okay, am I keeping up with what I need to be doing? 25% of the time you spend with the people that are, below you. So that way you can inspire, impact them, give them the motivation. But the other 25%, which is the most important, is you spend time with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see me go to dinner by myself.
Mm.
You'll see me go and watch a movie by myself.
Mm.
Because I love being alone and I love not depending on anybody else but myself. And those are the times where you have real conversations. And those are the times where you start to ask yourself real questions that you don't want to lie to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
See, you can lie to others
Mm.
because they don't know the truth. But you cannot lie to you. That's when you become delusional. And that's when you live in a fucking la-la land, right? And that's why you never achieve anything. So I have these real conversations with myself. These real questions I ask myself. And the first one was, okay, you got to get better at English. Second one was, all right, you got to really adapt to this culture, right? The American culture, because your way of thinking and whatever it is that you believe in may not be appropriate, may not be, suitable to in this country. You got to start reprogramming your beliefs. So I started reprogramming my beliefs. I started to reprogram what I believe in and what the life should look like. And I started to have these conversations and work on myself day in, day out, day in, day out. I have created actually a self-evaluation form where you can it's like 200 questions that you ask yourself that helps you understand. Yeah. It takes you like 2-3 hours to sit there and really go through. And you ask yourself these questions that really bring out, a lot of demons, a lot of scarcity out of you, a lot of fear that you have to face. And if you're honest and you finish that, you say, okay, now I understand myself better. Mm-hmm. Most people, they drive in a car and they cry. They don't know why they're crying. They're pissed off. They don't know why they're pissed off. So the one thing we have to do is not study only other people. We have to study ourselves.
Yeah, that's so good. Like, I didn't know, until I was 21, probably 22, that, we can develop and progress ourselves. I don't, that's not, it wasn't taught where I grew up. It wasn't taught in school. No. And then, the first thing that just really resonated with me was have you heard of Abraham Maslow? He's the guy who has the pyramid where we start. We need pyramid of needs or something like that, where we starts with survival, and then at the top of the pyramid is self-actualization. But he has another thing on there, going back to what you're talking about of choices that you're making to develop yourself and taking time to reflect on yourself, is that he says that every moment we have an opportunity to step forward into growth or step back into safety, and our subconscious, our spirit, whatever it is that we believe in, it's keeping track. So at the end of the day, if we had kept stepping into safety, then we're going to feel like shit. And we're going to want to play video games or drink or, you know, lash out on somebody. So I really admire how much effort you put into that. And that's probably, I mean, awareness is such a huge piece of sales as well. It
is. I want to piggyback off what you just said, right? Because it's very important. You said about stepping into the to uncomfortable situation, grow, or step into just being comfortable and settling. One thing that made a big difference to me is when I read the book 4 Agreements. I'm not sure if you ever heard of the book. The first agreement you have to make with yourself is to be impeccable with your word. So when you say, I'm going to go to the gym today, and you don't go, your subconscious mind registers that as a loss. And the worst thing that can happen, those things that you keep lying to yourself, right? Eventually your subconscious mind builds an identity that you're just a liar and it doesn't trust yourself. So when you don't trust yourself subconsciously, you lose confidence. When you lose confidence, you're unable to progress, grow, or do the things that you want to do. So therefore, you settle for average. So the biggest thing is that if you say you're going to do something, not only to others, but to you, you got to fucking do it. Because those are the ways you build the confidence. Those are the ways you grow into a bigger version of yourself by trusting you. You know, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Ronaldo, Messi, you name it. Those guys have to believe that they can score. And they trust themselves to take that shot. And when they take that shot, they know that, hey, I'm that guy to be able to win this game. And most people don't have that confidence because they've been lying to themselves for a very long time.
And then I'm a big believer in training and logistics wins wars. So you have these potential 30 new reps coming in every month.
No, about 6 to 9 every month.
Oh, you said 20% of the 30.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the training tactics you guys are applying to teach them to have this kind of mindset?
So it starts with our Monday mindset training, right? As a CEO and founder, I believe it's my responsibility to really teach about discipline, to teach about, work ethic. So I go in and I have, portfolio of different trainings that have helped me, learning from Tim, learning from Andy, learning from Grant, all these different, I would say seminars, books that I have read. I have put in many trainings. And it starts with understanding, right? What do people want? Like, why do you want to suffer and wake up at 6 a.m. and get to the office and get prepared and get hung up 200 times and get rejected? Why do you want that? When people don't know why they want to do something, they will eventually quit. So the first thing is that we have to teach people that you have to go through pain and you have to accept the pain as a form of getting stronger. Because things are not going to be easy. There's plenty of companies out there that go in and say to you, you're going to get rich. You're going to be very, very successful here, and you're going to make a lot of money. I don't sell that. What I sell is that you're going to go through hell. And if you get to stay on this journey, going through pain, going through hell, eventually you're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're going to see yourself being inside of paradise. But you have to go through hell. And we program them to know that it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be, suffering. You're supposed to not have fun on the phones. Why? Because you don't know better. When a baby learns to walk, you know how many bruises they get? Because they fall down so many more times before they take that first step. Because they have to learn to fall before they can learn to stand. And that's what we teach. It's okay to fall. It's okay to suffer. It's okay to go through pain. And we work on that mindset that you have to know that just because it hurts, it doesn't mean it's time to quit. It means that you're getting closer to the desired result. Arnold Schwarzenegger said, I don't count my sit-ups until it starts hurting, because that's when I know that I'm getting closer to getting that six-pack. It's the same concept.
Shout out to Arnold.
Yes.
He was big on sales as well.
Yeah.
So you take leadership obviously very seriously with the company.
100%. It's one of everything rises and falls on leadership. So to me, leadership is the core of where your company's headed.
And then what do you feel are the most foundational principles for you in terms of your values with leadership?
If you walk into my office, the first thing it says, lead by example. you cannot tell people to do something you never done. You cannot tell people to do something you don't do. So to me, when I have a blueprint in place, right? And the blueprint guarantees you to go out there and have your breakthrough. So we have taken people that have no confidence. Like, they can't even shake your hand. They can't even look you in the eyes. And they follow this blueprint and they become, one of the producers that are making $4,000 or $5,000 a month. They start to better their life. They start to move into an apartment. They start to have confidence. And that blueprint is very hard, but that's the blueprint that I went through. And I know it works because I have done it so many different times. And to me, is leading by example. You have to make sure that people know you're not a talker, you're a doer. Anyone can go and read a book and tell people what to do. You don't want to be a preacher, you want to be a teacher. You want to make sure that you know how to solve the math problem, not just know the answer.
And then what are some things that you do for everyone to see you in action?
I'm constantly on the floor. I'm constantly in my leadership meetings. Our leadership meeting starts at 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why it starts at 6 a.m. It's because we want to show people that if you're going to ask me to show up at 6 a.m., you better show up too. I could easily have one of my vice presidents run the meeting. I could easily have one of my top guys run a meeting. Why do I show up at 6 a.m.? Because I want them to know that I am in the battle with you. I am interested in growing this company as much as you do. It's leadership is an action. It's not a word.
I want to switch gears a little bit to health with what we're doing here at SuperAthlete.
Yes.
How much do you value that in your life, and what type of training do you do now?
Huge. When you chase money, you forget about your health.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big mistake I made in my early career. I went through a very, very bad car accident where my Maserati just flipped 3 times in the air and my whole back was messed up. I gained a lot of weight. And I started to say, well, who cares? I'm married. People are saying to you, like, what do you care? You're married. You got kids. Your wife loves you. So why do you care how you look? And I started to say, wow, that's the most biggest form of being average. Is not working on yourself, right? I shouldn't accept myself the way I am. I should constantly look to better myself. So I got really passionate about biohacking my body, my mind, my nutrition, what to do, what not to do. You'll see me try different diets. You'll see me eat CMOS. I buy fruits from MiamiFruit.com. Amazing stuff. You go in and you buy the fruits that nobody ever seen or heard of, and it makes a difference, right? I am passionate about being at my top elite performance level. I hate having fog in my mind. I hate feeling tired because it affects my execution. So I am big on making sure that I perform at the highest level. A lot of people may not agree with this, but I have 6 shots of espresso twice a day, right? And people's like, what? That's crazy. What do you mean 6 shots? Yeah, 6 shots of espresso twice a day. And I love it. I love coffee. I think coffee has a lot of benefits, right? I think it puts me in a state where I'm just crazy. I'm driving, right? I don't like to put energy drinks into my body. I like to have coffee more than energy drinks. I work out. I have a gym that's built inside our office. I have a gym that's built inside my house. I'm not this super, guy that goes in and lifts weights 4 hours a day. No, but I still stay active. I play soccer. I go in and I start to wrestle and do other things that's going to get my blood flowing.
That's so good. And then you mentioned earlier you made Mike Tyson cry.
Yes, I'm the guy that made Mike Tyson cry.
You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think it goes back to sales, right? Power of asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually in a valuetainment conference, and I had an opportunity to ask Mike Tyson a question.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him a question that I knew that were going to be emotionally striked and is going to get him emotional. And he started crying in front of 4,000 people.
What was the question?
His father, who he considers to be his actual father, right? He wasn't his biological father, also was his trainer. Costamado. Yeah. And I said, what is one thing that you wish Cos saw before he left?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, seeing me become a world champion.
Mm-hmm.
And he just broke down. And I asked him, it was a 3-part question, right? And I'll show you so that way you can see. The video hasn't even been released yet, so you're going to be the first one to see it. But he even kept saying, man, are you here to make me cry? But it was a genuine question, and it was the question that Mike had to face. And when he faced it, it made him emotional. The reason why it made him emotional is because, no one asked him that question. And a lot of times we have questions that we don't want to answer, going back to self-evaluation. And a lot of times we are afraid to ask the question because of how it will make us feel. But you have to face those feelings. You can't keep those feelings inside, because eventually you're going to blow up with other things that are affecting your life. And if you don't ask yourself questions, if you're afraid to ask yourself questions, you're going to have to live your life being afraid to face the truth.
Okay, I got a great question for you on leadership based on that. I read a great book on Elon Musk a couple weeks ago by Walter Isaacson. It's a really good biography. But Elon Musk's leadership style actually reminded me of Customato. Okay. Because it was completely about the task, right? So yes. Customato with Tyson, it's just about it's just about the task. Faceless opponent, just kill or be killed. Yes. Elon Musk, they criticize his leadership because he uses the word hardcore. He used that himself. Yeah. Because it's like, hey, I'm here, believe it or not. He believes it. I'm here to save humanity. So if you're not doing it, then you can, get the fuck out of here.
That's right.
While there's many other leaders, including what you just said to me in terms of earlier of focusing on people. Yeah. Where do you see that balance of focusing on the task compared to, making it people first?
Yeah. So the first thing is obviously you want to be able to bring people that are mission oriented, that want to align yourself with what you believe in, right? And then once people have shown you that they believe in what you believe in, then you focus on those people that are part of the mission, right? You don't want to just bring anybody and say, let's hold hands and sing Kumbaya. It doesn't matter if you are not part of the mission. I still like you and I still want you to be here. No. First quality is that you got to be aligned with the mission. You got to make sure that you sing the same song. Once I know that you sing the same song, we got to get you to start executing these objectives. I'm the same way. You start to fuck around with the mission, you shouldn't be part of it, right? You start to poke holes in a boat that we're all trying to be at and try to take it to the promised land, you're the guy that needs to get out, right? So I focus on people because those people have given me a reason that they're aligned with the mission. Not because you're just a good-looking guy, a good-looking girl, and you have a good personality. That's great. I know a lot of people that have good personalities. I know a lot of people that have, that I can sit down and drink tequila with. But it doesn't mean I want them to be a part of this mission. Doesn't mean that I want them to be part of my team. So first, you got to get people that are aligned with the mission, and then you focus on them.
Thank you for answering that. I think that's great. And then going back to what you were saying earlier in terms of kind of health is wealth is kind of what I got from you as this kind of a new perspective. Yep. And I'm noticing this is more and more of a shift. I'm even noticing it here in Miami, which, was more of status city, Gucci loafer city, money city. Now it's becoming more and more of health and fitness city. And then I had Tim Bonhotel on the podcast yesterday. He's a former strength and conditioning coach for the Chicago Bulls. Went into the tech industry in Silicon Valley and one of the co-founders of Future, which is they kind of combine coaching with the personal training apps. And he said the same thing. So I'm wondering, what do you feel like is the evolution that's causing this shift where now getting wealthy, it's not just about status and the Maserati, but also taking care of the body? Why do you see things going that way?
I honestly believe it's because of people that are making a difference in the industry, right? You'll see so many more people are inspired by Andy Frisella, right? Who owned the nutritional company but was overweight. And who went online and said, that wasn't me, that's not what I preach. And seeing Andy go from 380 pounds, 360 pounds to where he is right now, jacked, boom, boom, it gives people hope. It gives people belief that you could have all the cars, you could have all the money, but if you don't feel good about you, if you don't feel good about looking in the mirror, what's the point? What's the purpose? And if you work so hard and you make a lot of money, right, and then you die, why'd you make all that money? So you want to make money, but you also want to be healthy so you could enjoy that money, so you could enjoy the, the labor of your hard work. And I think a lot of people are noticing that, the cars, the clothes, all those things, it's nice if you're seeking attention. But if you're seeking actual long-term life and you want to be happy, it starts with you.
That's awesome. Well, this has been amazing, Albert. Wrap up here. I'd love to do some rapid fire here with you. Biggest mentor in your life?
Ooh, I would say biggest mentor in my life was my past experiences. Yeah. I can't point into one person. When I started in this business, in self-development and everything, a lot of people wanted me to pay them, and I couldn't pay them. So I was forced to learn from my past mistakes. So my biggest mentor is the guy that was lost, confused, but I had to figure it out. I had to really, really dig deeper in asking the questions. Where the fuck did I go wrong? What could I have improved on? And learn from that guy.
I'm a huge fan of Deion Sanders, college football coach, not only as a coach, but really as a leader of young men.
Yes.
And I heard him today. I listened to his press conferences just for his leadership, and he had the great line in there of, we're not where we want to be, but we're not where we used to be.
That's right.
And I
That's right. Yeah.
That was really good. Best book or research paper that you've read in the last year?
For me, the best book would have to be Relentless.
Okay.
I read that book 12 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12 times. The book's been around for, I think, 13 years.
Yeah.
And I read it 12 times because that book truly made me understand who I am, right? And I don't want to fucking apologize for it. A lot of times we go into the business world, we go into anywhere we go, and we want to be accepted based on people's liking, right? Today, I don't care who likes me as long as I like myself.
Yeah.
So that book made a big impact on my life.
Shout out to Tim Grover.
Oh, yeah, big time. Everybody in our office, one of the things that they do is that they read Tim Grover's book.
Yeah.
As soon as they come in, what book should I read? Relentless. That's the first book you read because you have to be relentless in life to win. So.
And the amount of effort you put into developing yourself is absolutely inspiring.
Thank you.
It really is.
Thank you.
Most biggest habit that you've added or taken away in the last year that's added the most improvement to your life?
In the last year, let's see. I would say the biggest habit that I added would be to not wait for people to check on me, but start to check on people. And it would be just a random person. It could be the guy that just started with a company 3 months ago. I would just go in and say, I'm interested how this person is doing. Because a lot of times, what I understood is that when I was in my darkest time, nobody checked on me. And it was always, you want to always hope that somebody of a status, somebody of the experience comes to you and checks on you. So I made a habit to, no matter how long you've been within a company or how long I know you, let me just check on you. If I met you at Starbucks a year ago and we never connected, I'll go in and I'll message you and say, hey, how have you been? And they say, who is it? Remember we met at Starbucks, you made me a 6-shot of espresso, and I told you that it was the most amazing customer service I ever had. Oh, yeah. You were wearing that pink jacket. Yes, that was me. And we started to reconnect. So I made that habit to constantly check on people to know that they're not alone. I've seen so many people turn into drugs, turn into alcohol abuse, turn into a lot of things because they feel alone. And to me, it's important for people to know that there's other people there that they can reach out to, that they can count on, and they're not alone.
That's amazing. And I think it's so true. Everyone's got something going on.
Yeah.
And to have someone of your status do that and not necessarily having to do that, I think is it's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, last question. If you could wave a magic wand, what does Axe Elite look like 5-10 years from now?
Oof. If I could wave a magic wand, Axe Elite would be in every state, helping young men and women to be able to have most inspirational stories of changing for the better. That would be my wish. That's what I do every single day. I wake up to make that wish come true. That's awesome. So the slogan of our tagline of our flagship program at SuperAthlete Training Camp is unlock your physical and mental potential, dominate your industry, dominate your life. And Albert, I think you're just a prime example of that. Thank you. So I really appreciate you coming on the show.
And you have a hot Instagram that I know.
Yep.
What is the best way for people that want to reach out to you?
Yeah, Young Hustler VX3 on Instagram. That's the most social media platform that I use. We have a podcast, Rise of Entrepreneur, which we would love to have you on as well. I believe your story, what you stand for, what you have done for the industry is so impactful, and a lot of people can actually benefit from it. Axelite.com is our webpage where you can learn about the company and what we do. But that's where you can find me.
Thank you so much, Albert.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Appreciate you.